10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 425. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 425 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. We are finishing up our series on the Rhythm Changes Bridge this week by taking a look at an etude I've prepared for you over rhythm changes that is going to hopefully help you to hear all the stuff we've been talking about in the past 3 episodes in context, just to show you that you can kind of use all this stuff. And it does sound good if you hopefully use it in a not proper way, but a well-measured way. And if you are familiar enough with this stuff that you can actually do it. And that's the first point I want to make. So I know that I put out a lot of information on this podcast. And that's kind of the point, right? Like, I wouldn't be able to put out an episode every week if I didn't just put out new information. But here's the thing. You should look at these episodes like resources that you do not need to follow week to week to week to week. Some of them are more designed for that than others. Like when we're playing over a tune, usually you can kind of handle that week to week. Something like what we've done this month, where it's like these big concepts and a ton of information. This is stuff that you're really going to have to unpack for quite a while. So don't get frustrated if now that this series is over, you're like, oh man, I'm not killing all this stuff that Nick showed me over the bridge to rhythm changes. Like, it's overwhelming. We'll go back and spend a couple of weeks on that first episode in the series. Make sure that you have it down. Make sure that you understand it. Make sure you can actually implement it into a solo. Then move on, take as long as you need. That's something that's really, really important. Okay? All right. So I want to talk about the etude a little bit. We'll listen to it together, and then you can kind of go from here. So what you will notice is that there's 2 choruses of rhythm changes in the etude, and that I have used various devices on the bridge that I've shown you in the past 3 weeks. So the first thing to do is to go in and kind of look at the bridge and see what's happening. Because instead of being very explicit about it and doing the same thing for the whole bridge, what I've done is I've kind of mixed and matched what I thought would be appropriate when it's appropriate. And that, at the end of the day, is how you should use this stuff, right? Now, one other thing that we should talk about pertaining to the rest of the form, because obviously the bridge is just 16 bars out of the 64 bars of etude that I have written. So it behooves us to talk about the rest of it. One thing that you will notice is that in the bridge, I have completely different sets of changes depending on what I'm thinking about, depending on the type of sound that I'm trying to get across to you. But you will also notice that the changes are completely different for every A section. And the reason for that is exactly why they're different over the bridge. When I play over rhythm changes, I can think about so many different things. And this will be some great episodes in the future, right? Where we could talk about the A sections much in the same way we talked about the bridge. But if you have the etude and you're like, why are the changes different every time? Well, the reason is I tried to write the changes that I was actually thinking about when I wrote this. So sometimes you'll notice that it's very, very few changes. Like it could just be concert B flat for 4 entire bars. And then other times you'll notice that there's a chord change maybe every 2 beats. So then it's just kind of packed in there with chord changes. And that's one of the beauties of rhythm changes, is that you can think about a lot or a little. They're both really, really valid, and they're both really, really useful. Okay. So when you see the changes, see if you can figure out why the material I wrote is being thought about over the changes I wrote above them. Wow, that was a little bit of a confusing sentence, but I think you know what I mean, right? Like if I just have B flat written for 4 bars, try to figure out like why it's only B flat. How do these notes fit in there? And then maybe you can start thinking about that. Or on the opposite side of the spectrum, when I've got B flat, G7, C minor 7, F7, D minor 7, G7, C minor 7, F7. Like, okay, well, what's different about this that I was thinking about all those chord changes? What's different about the end result? Okay. So if you have a PDF, go ahead, take it out, and let's listen to the etude together. Right, so there it is. That's yours to learn, to pull apart, to do whatever the heck you want to with. One of the things that I've been doing with a lot of my students lately in the Jazz Intensive and beyond is to make everybody sing everything. So I would really encourage that, right? Maybe even before you touch your instrument, see if you can use that demo track that I just played to see if you can sing through it with good time, proper articulation, swing and feel. The pitches, yeah, they're important, but there's a lot of them, right? So maybe pitches secondarily. Hopefully you'll get to the point where you can sing all those pitches in an accurate way. But really we're shooting more for style than anything else. It just makes such a huge difference when you can sing something and sing it naturally and sing it in a way that you feel like, wow, this is really good. This really sounds like jazz. And then you go to your instrument, it has a tendency to just move much, 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 much more quickly. And you have a tendency to just sort of like translate all that stuff onto your instrument in a much more seamless way. So that would be my wish for you this week, is to possibly try to sing it first. And if you've never done it before, it's difficult, but get in the habit of doing that. Okay? So if you heard me mention the PDF and you didn't know what I was talking about, maybe you're new to the show, this is a listener-supported podcast. So the way we support ourselves is from listeners like you in the form of a very small monthly donation. And if you want to know more about that, you can go to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, or go to patreon.com and search for the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. And you can find ways to sign up and be a part of the family and get your hands on all of these materials from every episode that we've ever done very quickly and easily by doing that. So again, 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners, or patreon.com, search for the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. And shout out to John this week for signing up to be a patron. Welcome to the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson family. Of course, we've got almost 400 people over there supporting us. So thank you guys. We could not do this without you. All right. Have fun with this etude. Have fun with rhythm changes. And we will see you soon with another brand new episode. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.